Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome, guys. My name is Yaqub Zaman. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day, enjoying yourselves. Welcome to the live stream, guys. This is Saturday. After Ramadan, we have restarted the live stream. And hope you guys had a nice day today, enjoying the weather, the beautiful weather outside. Right, so today we have a lot of questions. Well, I did answer quite a few questions on the Curious Cat, but inshallah. Right, so let's see. Firdaus wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome. Ismail wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa sahlan. So, Ihsan wa alaikum assalam. I'm very good. Thank you very much, my brother. I hope you're well. Hope you've been enjoying yourself, having a nice week. Okay, so, right. Actually, you know what? I just forgot. I'm going to show you guys the book. I promised tonight. Okay, so give me a sec. Let me show you guys book. Okay, so back. Can you guys see me? Let's see if this. Alright, so hopefully the right button there. Okay, so anyway, welcome, guys. Welcome again. Ahlan wa sahlan and Ihsan. Belated Eid Mubarak to you as well. My like said, Ameen. So today, as you can see, my face is very tan today because I was doing gardening. I was gardening and I did a lot of cutting shrubs. So I was trying to make the shrub look very nice in the front. So I think I've done a good job. Spent quite a lot of time. And my arms as well. So exercise for my arms. I don't know if you guys like that kind of stuff. And tomorrow, hopefully, inshallah, I should be painting the shed. So I bought this pump spray where you simply put the paint in, you pump it, and then you spray on the fence or you spray on the shed. So I'm going to be painting the shed tomorrow, inshallah, and probably start painting the fence as well. So wish me luck, guys. Make special du'as. Muhammad Mullah Ahla wa Sahla wa alaikum assalam. Pray you are well. Ameen. I've asked you, how's your new job? How's it going? Are you getting into it? Ahla wa Sahlan, Maulana Umar Sahib. Alhamdulillah, I'm very good. Thank you very much. What are your thoughts regarding the hukm of tasawwuf and pledging allegiance to a sheikh? So, the whole idea of pledging allegiance to a sheikh is similar to a private trainer. So if a person wants to gain weight, if a person wants to lose weight, the best way to do it would obviously be to speak to someone who is an expert in that field, and they give you an insight into how all of that works. Yeah. So what I would say is that the whole idea of having a spiritual mentor is that spiritual mentor is supposed to know all of the mistakes that you can potentially make, and what would be the the fast track, like the quickest route for you to get close to Allah. And it's like a kind of physician, spiritual physician. Now, if you can have a mentor and you can recourse to him all the time and you can tell him, look, I'm going through this spiritual problem, and then he tells you, okay, try this, do this, make sure you're praying your salat sometime, make sure you're doing your dhikr like this. That is the ideal thing, right? If you can get that. However, it's not necessary to have one of those. Yeah, because if it was necessary, it would have clearly been something which would have been in the Quran, in the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, to have one. That's why there's a famous, in fact, Mufti Umar, there's a famous Risala. There's a Sheikh Abdul Fattah Abu Ghudda has written it, and in there he actually mentions a whole discussion between Ibn Abbad and Shatibi. So this was in Spain, with regards to having a mentor, having a spiritual guide. Yeah, it's like Shatibi was against it, Ibn Abbad was for it, and there's a whole like risala, like a small little correspondence between them. So Sheikh Abdul Fattah Abu Ghudda brings that. I can't remember the name of the book now. But if I remember, I'll tell you. So that's basically what I would say is more important than allegiance is having someone who is you look up to, like especially an elder. There should be like elder person, a lot of experience. You don't have to give them allegiance. You just need to listen to their advice and stuff like that. I think that's more suhbah, like we say. Suhbah salihin is more important than the whole like rituals of. Hope that helps. Is it true, Sheikh, you studied with Sheikh Abdul Hamid Turkmani? I studied, in the same place. So he was ahead of me. He was doing takhassus fil hadith, and I was doing dawah. I was in dawah. Yeah, and we stayed in the same flat, pretty much. I was very close to him. Me and him were like best friends at one stage, almost like best friends. Hamim, ahlan wa sallam. Are you attending the course tomorrow? No, unfortunately, I can't attend any courses tomorrow. Tomorrow I've got a lot of gardening to do, and then I've got a few other things I have to get done. So unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to go to. Is that the one in down south? Yeah, High Wycombe. Yeah, unfortunately, I won't be able to go there. Did you manage to fix the fence? No, so I have to buy some new fences. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to have to buy some new fences. So inshallah, hopefully this week I'll order them and then they'll deliver them because they're quite big, so I can't put it in my car. This is the fence on the other side. Abu Bakr, alaikum assalam. Mullah, alhamdulillah, the new job is amazing. Opened up lots of opportunities for me to progress in marketing. Excellent, shabash, well done. Why should I not read as a beginner fiqh books as F.E. Al-Hidayah? Why should I not? Up to you. If you want to read it, you can read it. But the thing is, you're not going to benefit that much from it, and you probably will have a lot of misunderstandings in it as well. Because fiqh books, I don't know what madhab you follow, brother. But fiqh books, they're designed to have certain terminology and certain understandings, and they're designed for someone who studies with a teacher. They're not designed to be read on their own. They're not like a book that people write nowadays where you can simply just pick it up and read it on your own. So that's I asked a question about Hadith in Muwatta about 11 rakat Tarawih. You said that some Sahaba use it. Does this mean that it is a valid opinion to follow? As in, this was in the early years, yes. And then later on, they say that the ijma' was done upon 20. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan. Best way to improve memory, stay away from sins, and have good sleep. These are two things that I'll try them, and inshallah you'll find they're very beneficial. Hamim, when did the concept of tasawwuf first come about? So tasawwuf has always been there from the time of the Prophet ﷺ. In the meaning that if you take away the word tasawwuf and replace it with the word tazkiyah, right? It's been there from the beginning. So the idea of this whole concept of tazkiyah becoming like there was no fiqh in the time of the Prophet ﷺ like we understand it today, like this formalization of fiqh. Fiqh became formalized as the years went by. Similarly, tasawwuf became more formalized as the years went by. Yeah, it became more like a specialized science. So the The codification of tasawwuf and all of that over the years, maybe like in the 300s, same time, 200s-300s, it became more codified, and especially in the 400s-500s. Yeah, so there was that different approaches in tasawwuf of how you can truly, benefit from tasawwuf. Are you still in contact with Sheikh? He's become a beacon in... Yeah, alhamdulillah, yeah. Haven't spoken to him for a few months, but yeah. Crypto, alaikum assalam, ahla wa sahlan. In Ramadan, each calendar had a few minutes. Each calendar had a few minutes difference in suhoor ending times. How strict do we have to be with? I would say the idea is for you to try and adhere to a calendar throughout the year. That's what you should do. Just like, for example, there's ikhtilafs in other things in madhahib. So we don't go around, looking at what other people do. So we stick to whatever way that we've learned. That's the idea. And try to follow the safest one, because unfortunately, a lot of masajid, I don't know how they develop the calendar. I don't know what method they use for coming out with these timings. Some of them I know, but a lot of them I don't know. So you'll have to maybe be careful which calendar you're following. HK, is it allowed for the bride's brother father to be a witness in the nikah? Yes. Yeah. Sheikh Abdul Fattah rahimahullah also wrote about Sheikh Murabbi in his Tahqiq al-Risal Mustarshidin. About Sheikh Murabbi. Yeah. Sheikh Abdul Fattah, he was not too much he wasn't like what's the word for it? He wasn't too passionate about this whole idea of Bir Murid. Yeah, he wasn't too passionate about it. He's done tahqiq on he hasn't written the book, but he's done the footnotes on Risal al-Mustarshidin. I'm Hanafi. I did study Ascent to Felicity. Currently studying Nur al-Idah, but I thought, why not jump to biggest? Yeah. What you should do is study Quduri first. Study Quduri first. Understand first. What you need to do, my brother, Hanafi brother, is you need to first of all study what the earliest Hanafi said about each masala. And Quduri is the best place to start. Quduri is one of the authentic. It's reliable. It's representative of what we call the Zahir Riwayah. You want to understand the Zahir Riwayah of the madhab. Once you've understood the Zahir Riwayah of the madhab, then after that, the books that come later, they approach the Hanafi madhab in various ways. So after Quduri, you can do Hidayah. I wouldn't see a problem. Ideally, before Hidayah, maybe do another book if you can, but if you jump to Hidayah straight away after Quduri, that's fine. But Quduri is very important because you need to understand what Quduri says and then why Sahib al-Hidayah, he differs with Quduri on certain things. TXH, salam. Why do Hanafis do Asr later than other schools? Are you sinning if you pray it earlier? No, you're not sinning if you pray earlier. Hanafis say it's more preferred to pray later. Yeah, because the issue, the Hanafi, Abu Hanifa rahimullah, he preferred what we call the two shadows, the later Hanafi, the later Asr. And his two students, Abu Yusuf and Muhammad, they preferred the one shadow, the earlier time. If Salah is contingent on the Imam, why does the Muqtadi have to read anything at all, e.g. Thana, Tashahud? Because that's how... So, contingent in that the Imam is responsible for the person's Salat. That's the only contingent thing. That the follower must follow the Imam. And because we have from the Sahaba of reciting, these kind of things, that's why we recite them. We would have recited the Quran even behind the Imam, but the only reason we don't read behind the Imam Quran is because the Quran says, when the Quran is recited, be silent and listen. So the contingency is not in like everything. If a person, according to Hanafis, was simply just to stay silent behind the Imam and just do his takbir and do his salam at the end, his salat would be done. But that would not be considered to be what we call the sunnah. Aisha Fazal, alaikum assalam, ahla wa sahlan. What tea is that you have already mentioned during live stream? This is a different tea today. This is a Twinings Focus tea. This is Twinings Focus tea. So this has, I think it has some turmeric in there and pineapple. Crypto, does the red heifer have any significance? I have not come across anything in the Hadith books about the red heifer. Subhanallah, I never heard a part of sleeping well. That's very beneficial. Yeah, sleep very well, guys. Make sure you get good sleep, honestly. Good sleep. Don't cut your sleep short. If you need 8 hours of sleep, get 8 hours of sleep. And especially the earlier you sleep, the better it is. Yeah, the earlier you sleep, honestly. Try that. After Isha, straight away go to sleep. And you'll see how fresh you feel. Your mind feels nice and fresh, cool, and all that. What would you say propelled your studies to a higher level? Having a private teacher. Having a private teacher helped me immensely, without a doubt. So get yourself a private teacher on the side and learn as much as you can from them. So where's your Palestine awareness hoodie? It's hanging. If the Imam recites a verse of sajda and the Muqtadi also recites it at the same time, does the one sajda performed in sajda? So according to Hanafis, the Muqtadi is not allowed to recite Quran. So therefore, if he was to recite sajda, it wouldn't become necessary on him. Can I send something from Al-Fiqh Al-Akbar on Curious Cat? It is an Aqidah question. I do not really answer Aqidah questions, but you can send it, I'll look at it. Because it's not really the platform for... I personally am against people discussing Ilm al-Kalam and in-depth Aqidah issues on these kind of platforms because it just confuses a lot of people. 20% of the people might understand what I'm saying and 80% will just get more confused and it's just going to cause more problems for them. Habib, alaikum assalam, ahlan wa sahlan. Waqt pass live may join kanuma wa che salam. Waqt pass live may join ka kha dear mudasha wada yara tu charta hai. Habib watches. Inshallah zamada bara khas duagani uka. Jazakallah khair, my brother handsome. Aisha, what's the difference between being qualified as a mufti and being qualified as a sheikh or a ustad? Can you explain? So a sheikh is someone who simply just done an alim course. A mufti would be someone who specializes in fiqh and answering fiqh questions. Yeah, so a sheikh would generally have just a qualification generally around. But the term sheikh can be used for mufti as well. This is a general term that's used for anyone that's qualified in the Islamic sciences. So imagine like a doctor and a consultant. So all consultants are doctors, but not all doctors are consultants. So the consultant is a specialized doctor. Sheikh, you know the issue of moon sighting in the UK, isn't local sighting the best opinion? Of course, I would say it is. Yeah, I would generally say that the best is to follow local. But the only reason that we have to follow Saudi is because our majority of our mosques follow Saudi where I live. So that's why it's just easier for everyone. But if everyone got on board, every masjid just decided that they're going to follow the local sighting. Excellent. I agree with that. If Imam's aura is uncovered during Salat, do the followers have to repeat? Yes. If Imam's Salat gets void, the followers' Salat gets void. How come back after a while and Mufti Saab's gotten old? Yes, very old. As you can see, the white hairs. Gaya, wa alaikum salam. I wanted to know how to pray all the prayers on time in northern countries for Isha and Fajr times, which are in the middle of the night. I spoke about sleeping about Fajr, but yeah. So what you can do, Gaya, is try to find out where your local mosque is. Ask your local mosque for the prayer times. Or you can go on Google and where you live, you type in prayer times where I live and they'll show you all the prayer times. What are good alternatives for people who have no local teachers around? I know it's not optimal, but could, in this case, yeah, you can follow YouTube playlists, yes, inshallah. Or F.E. Asrar Rashid's playlist, yeah. You can follow that. So you can follow that. What I would say is always get your understanding of the lessons checked by someone. Yeah, so if you've done, like, for example, like a quarter of Quduri, go to a Scotch sheikh and say to him, look, can you test me on this much of Quduri? And then regularly get yourself tested. So you're happy that you've understood properly and you're not making mistakes. The Dawah chief, walaikum salam, is intention for wudu mustahab or sunnah according to the madhab? There's ikhtilaf in this. There's ikhtilaf. This seems, the stronger position seems that the intention is mustahab. That's what the stronger position seems. If a person recites a verse of sajda in salah and forgets to do the sajda, does the normal sajda after ruku suffice? If a person recites a verse of sajda, if he hasn't made intention for sajda, no, it won't. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullah, my brother Junaid. Just a quick question. You mentioned about sleeping early. As a student of knowledge, shouldn't we try to utilize the night for revision? Yeah, that's the dilemma, isn't it? So what do you do now? If you're a student, should you sleep early and get up and at the Tahajjud time and revise that time? Or should you sleep late and then sleep like that? So this is where the dilemma is now. What do you do? It's like, someone who wants to run a marathon. So that person who wants to run a marathon, do they now chill out with their family, relax, or do they spend a lot of their time in the run up to the marathon in training and all that? So you gotta balance the two. You gotta find out which one works for you. Do you speak Urdu? Yes. What do you think of Islam in Algeria or North Africa in general? I don't know because I've never been there. Will we give our good deeds to disbelievers if we backbite them on the Day of Judgment? No. Aisha, why is it disrespectful to comment on a person's appearance? I was about to say that your white hairs look nice, mashallah, and then I thought that persons could be sensitive about their appearance. I think maybe, so maybe some people who get, some people don't like telling their age. They don't like people commenting on they've gone old and things like that. I think so. You got to be careful. I don't mind. You can tell me I'm old. Yeah, you can tell me I've got loads of white hair. Yeah, don't worry. I've kind of got thick skin for that. And this is the thing about people, like Allah says in the Quran, وَجَعَلْنَا بَعْضُكُمْ لِبَعْضٍ فِتْنَةً أَتَصْبِرُونَ. We made some of you fitna for others, in the sense that you're a test and trial. Some people will make you angry, some people upset, some people when you speak to them, you have to speak kindly, and some people you can have a banter with them. And it's like, for example, I mentioned this to you guys before, when it comes to guys, men generally, when they meet each other, they will say to each other kind of things that might seem a bit harsh, but it's all in that banter. Yeah. And some people, women generally, I think they don't really kind of say these kind of things to each other because then they feel as though the other person might get upset, and they probably do. And there's actually a meme that that someone put up, which was a woman said to one woman said, I'm fat, and the other one said, no, you're not, you look gorgeous. And then the same one, like a man said, I'm fat, and the other guy said to him, yeah, you're proper fat, you are. I've got fat 5 friends and you're 4 of them. Yeah, that's probably something guys would say to each other. That's what we say to each other. Yeah, but we can take it. So I think we've got to be careful how you say things to people. For some people, you might say something and they might get upset, and some people, they don't. Right? So, you can probably say things to your brothers and sisters, siblings, and they can take it because they can take the truth, or, statements, frank statements. But with other people, you have to be a bit cautious. What do you guys think? وَإِيَّاكَ حَبِيبي Junaid. May Allah give you good health. Ameen. So please, can you make videos in Urdu as well? I will try to. My Urdu isn't as fluid as my English. That's the thing. I speak like what they call Pathan Urdu. Yeah, so my Urdu isn't as fluid. But yeah, inshallah, maybe soon in the future, I might make some videos in Urdu. Subi, wa alaikum assalam. Ahla wa sahlan from Gambia, West Africa. Welcome, my brother. I don't know any words in your language, but welcome, my brother. In fact, I know quite a few people, many of my students who are from Gambia. I call it the Gambia, isn't it? Yeah, one of my students who qualified a few years ago, Ibrahim Ba from Gambia. MashaAllah, Gambian people are very nice people, generally. I've hardly met a Gambian person who is not cheerful, who is not positive, always smiling, always seem happy. Yeah, Gambia, Senegal. Yeah, these places, Ghana, Gambia, Senegal, Ghana. These 3 places. In madrasa, we had students from Ghana and Senegal. Are books like Bulugh al-Maram a useful addition, or will it possibly confuse? Yeah, you can read them if you want to understand Hadith, or you want to understand the Shafi's approach to Hanafi. Remember, Hanafi Fiqh I'm going to sound a bit controversial here, yeah? But Hanafi Fiqh does not need the collections of hadith to understand the madhab, because the madhab came before the collection of hadith. Yeah, so the madhab was actually the what we call the nachor, yeah, the concentration, the summary of the fiqh of the Sahaba and the Tabi'in. It was like all summarized and it's put into lines, sentences. So therefore, their sentences are really kind of a whole summarization of the entire Quran and the Sunnah. Yeah, that's basically what it was. So this is why what I would say is, when it comes to understanding these things, you have to understand the Hanafi madhab through the Hanafi books. And if you want to understand hadith, that's fine, but then you need to be careful, because you might get confused. Like you might say, why don't the Hanafis act on this hadith? Why? Well, Hanafis have answers for them, but then it's just going to be long and tedious process of trying to untangle each confusion that you're getting. Huzaifa, and also, can you record a video explain Nahjul Balagha? Nahjul Balagha is a very big book. It's a very dense book, and it's quite a hard book. In the sense, explaining is quite hard, translating it. And it's not really, it's written by Shi'i, yeah. Forgot his name, Murtada. Yeah, so it doesn't, many of the things that are not authentically attributed to Ali radiallahu anhu. But the Arabic in there, the style of the Arabic in there is very, very eloquent. Yeah, so whoever wrote it, whoever's statements are in there, whether it's Ali radiallahu anhu or whether it's someone else, unknown persons, it's a very good for people who want to learn Arabic linguistics. Yeah, practice their Arabic linguistics. So it's like one of those kind of. In fact, recently someone has actually translated Nahjul Balagha into English. Yeah, Nahjul Balagha recently, I think a few months ago, has been translated into English. Apparently, it's supposed to be quite good. I haven't seen it, so I can't comment on that. But yeah. Muhammad Abdu. Okay. All right, so let's have a look at Curious Cat. Let's see what Curious Cat is saying. Okay, Bismillah alaikum assalam. Does the following say that Abu Hanifa did tafweed bil kayf and not tafweed bil ma'na? وكل شيء ذكره العلماء بالفارسية من صفات الله تعالى عز اسمه فجائز القول به سوى اليد بالفارسية ويجوز أن يقال So read on Mufti ibn Adam's side. I don't know where this statement's from. Yeah, Allah knows best. Wallahu alam, my brother. I don't know. I think there seems to be a fascination, people who haven't studied Aqeedah properly, a fascination with just like Athari and is and that and Tafweed al-Ma'na and Kayf and this. I don't know why. What young people usually have. They say, this is what they say. Young people who are not married, so guys, men, specifically men between the ages of 18 to about 25, 26, maybe late 20s, who are not married, are very much into like hot debate kind of Aqeedah debate issues. Once they get married and once they're over the age of 30, 35, I think they calm down. They're not really bothered anymore. So I don't know. Is it true? Is this observation true? Only Allah knows best. Okay, next. Is doing Qurbani mandatory upon a Muslim male? Number one, yes, if he has the threshold of wealth. If a Muslim male still lives with his family, is doing one Qurbani for the whole sufficient? No. In fact, I actually have a video on Qurbani. Qurbani. Okay, which one is it? Yeah, this is the one. Is it? Okay, what is Qurbani? This is it. Okay, with regards to water mixed with solids, I understood that if the name of the water changes, it ceases to be mutahhir. But I have also seen another statement that says riqqa. Yes, each of them will affect the status of water. So watch my live stream at 37 minutes. So basically, Hanafis say that water for wudu and ghusl must be water that resembles naturally occurring water, like sky water, rainwater, sea water. It has to resemble that water. Any water that does not resemble this water. How does a water not resemble that water? When something has been added to it and it resembles the additive more than it resembles water, or that the viscosity of the water does not resemble water anymore. Yeah, and these two things generally render water out of. There's a few other things as well, but these two things generally render the water unusable for wudu and ghusl. So, like, if you were to add oil to water, the water becomes all oily now. Okay, next. That's why I think I've always been a Hanafi from inside. When I was studying with Salafi scholars, I remember an exam asked me, why is it wrong to pay sadaqah, in expecting me to give the hadith as proof, but I was like, I think Hanafi position. MashaAllah. Well then, shabash. The Qurbani that you made. Yeah, the sacrifice. And this is generally, then I think what happens is, if you are going to criticize someone else, make sure you've studied with them before you're going to criticize them. This is like the rule of the thumb, I would say. Otherwise, sometimes people criticize Hanafi madhab and I listen to what they're saying and I'm thinking, this person has not studied Hanafi madhab. The kind of things they're saying. Yeah, they've heard like from second-hand information that people have quoted. For anything in life generally, if you want to criticize someone, make sure you study their position from their experts before you actually say anything. Ahlan wa sahlan Maulana Nusuki. Ahlan wa sahlan. Did you show the books yet? Oh, I'm going to show a book, guys. And near the end, inshallah, I will show that. Well, it's one book. I don't know where the other book is. If I find the other book, I don't know where it is. Give the hadith as proof. I'm new here. I see you have many gems on your channel. Is there any playlist on Usul Fiqh? Usul Fiqh, I have a paid course for that. It's on my uruq.com website. It's 28 lessons on Usul Fiqh. That's paid. I think it's about 70 or 75 pounds for the whole course. There's a collection called Zujajat al-Masabi. It has hadith evidences for the Hanafi position, thoughts on it. So I am not too much for this whole hadith, trying to prove the Hanafi madhab through hadith. I'm not too much for that, because whatever hadith you're going to bring, you're always going to bring hadith which are later collections of hadith. And Abu Hanifa came early, so Abu Hanifa had access to a vast amount of hadith that later didn't trickle down to the later scholars, because the more narrators that come in a chain, the more prone it is to being dismissed. I actually got an Usul Hadith course, 22 lessons of Usul Hadith, and there I explain about this as well. So that's the thing. It's fine if you want to use it just to kind of supplement your understanding and kind of just to kind of make yourself feel a bit happy that we've got some hadith as well. I don't think it's, if you really want that, you need the hadith that was in the time of Abu Hanifa rahimullah. The same is with Ila Sunan. The same is with Athar Sunan. My real is Omar Jagana from Gambia. This channel has made me go out from my country to Mali to seek the knowledge of Islam. Alhamdulillah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless your ilm, your time, your efforts, and give you lots and lots of barakah in your wealth, in your health, and your family. MashaAllah. Make dua, guys, for our brother Umar. I just find the topic interesting to study. Seems as though I may have a fascination for controversy here. Yeah, I think my brother Abu Bakr, I think you're young. Aisha Fazal, Ustad, what's your favorite dua recently? Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina adhabna. Remember, guys, you guys used to ask me what's my favorite. Eventually, I gave in to you guys. Now, whenever you guys ask me what's my favorite, I just think the top of my head, the first thing that comes to my head, I just say it because I know. Otherwise, if I go into the whole philosophy of favorites, then you guys get a bit bored. Yeah, you guys kind of like get a bit upset with me. So now when you guys ask me what's my favorite, I'm gonna give you an answer now. Whether it really is my favorite or not, I will give you an answer. Do you have D1? Which D1? D1 Shafi or D1 Ali? Alaikum assalam, my brother Amjad Ilahi. Welcome. Favorite philosophy is easy. I'm the favorite. Allahu Akbar, my brother. Yeah, well, you know what? We still have to go to eat, you know. The only thing is I have weekdays would be best for me, but I finish late. That's the only thing. And at the moment, I can't eat anything because I've been diagnosed with ulcers in my stomach, so I can't eat like heavy food. So I'm gonna have to wait until I get a bit better. That's an extension from the last time. I think you said a part of that dua last time. Khalid Dur Ahlan wa Sallam wa Alaikum Assalam, my brother Amjad Ilahi. Weekdays, yeah, weekdays would be best for me, but I have to. Yes, that's the thing. So weekdays, the thing is, weekdays I finish late from teaching. So because I teach in the evenings, I can't go before teaching because then I have to rush to teaching, and then after teaching is my only time. That's the only thing. It'll have to be a weekend then, or maybe even, I don't know, a weekday in the holidays and weekday afternoon, like a lunch or something. Weekend daytime, that might be possible. Only problem is I'm going to have a whole series of talks taking place. Yeah, so that's the only thing with me, guys. We'll plan something, inshallah. Daytime during week might be good. Yeah, like a lunch. Yeah, because when those maybe. Chalo, we'll see. We'll see what happens. May Allah give you shifa. Ameen. Jazakallah khair. Ustad, are the live stream considered to be gatherings? Is the leaving of the gathering dua permissible? Yes, these are gatherings, inshallah. Gatherings, definitely. When removing unwanted hair, if one or two hairs happen to be left out, not removed due to some reason, will it be sinful? I'm not sure what hair you mean, but no. Wa alaikum assalam. Whilst praying in the middle of prayer, is one allowed to warn someone else? Whilst praying, you point out, telling someone to turn off? No. Salam. No, you can't, unless there is imminent danger. You can't do what your mom does. Your moms do, like raise their voices and stuff like that, and you kind of understand what they're saying. My mom, even till now, does that. She's praying, and then you'll say to her, where's this? And she like raise her voice, Malik Yawmiddin, ya abdu ya nasta'in. And you kind of understand, okay. Badr, whole lamb shoulder. That sounds tasty. That does, my brother. That sounds lovely. I'm feeling hungry now. In many professions, such as engineering, accountancy, you can become a member of an institution. After 5 years' experience, you get certified with them as proof of professional competence. Is something similar? I think that would be excellent, if they started that. I think there's a lot of standardization that needs to take place with ulama, especially in the West. Because at the moment, look at this, every alim is basically just saying anything without there being any repercussions. Now, there are some people out there I know who have made it their life mission to kind of criticize people who they think are doing wrong. But there needs to be like a body, right? There needs to be a body. There needs to be like some sort of membership fraternity that you affiliate yourself with. I think that's the future, especially fatwas one. Fatwas should be, especially like new upcoming fatwas, things that are unprecedented. There needs to be bodies of scholars who come out with an answer rather than individual scholars giving their own answers. I don't know anything in the West regarding this, but I think there should be. Ruling on headgear during Salah. Ruling on headgear? I don't understand. Like, where? Like, are you saying like, do you have to wear it, or is it? Are you talking about topis? Aisha, alaikum assalam, wa barakatuh. Take care, jazakallah khair. Iyan wa alaikum assalam. Do you have any recommendations, either books or videos, for understanding the Islamic landscape after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, history of the Khulafa Rashidun? I do not have any works on it. I have done my evolution of fiqh, which this is something which I was focusing, but more on the fiqh point. There is a good book called the Khulafa Rashidun by Imam Suyuti. It's translated into English as well. That's good. There's another book called Izalatul Khafa, which is in Arabic. Izalatul Khafa. Yeah. There's actually some YouTube videos. I don't know exactly how authentic every detail in there is, but if you look up on YouTube videos, history of Islam, there's some really long videos that go through a lot of history. There's a guy called Maulana Ismail Kamdar, I think that's how you pronounce it, from South Africa, and he's actually got some courses you can enroll for, Islamic history courses, and I've heard they're quite good. Yeah, so that's something which maybe you might want to contact him. How do customs affect fiqh rulings in the Hanafi madhab? How would practice differ in Pakistan to Egypt? It depends what you mean. Like, I don't understand. So fiqh is fiqh. Fiqh does not change. The ruling of urf is like a very, very deep ruling, a long discussion, extensive, and it's more to do with mu'amalat, more than anything to do with trade. Yeah, trade and these kind of things related to mu'amalat. So customs, I mean, if you can give me some examples of things, then I can tell you, but customs, as long as they don't go against Islam, they're okay to do. Yeah. So if there's some customs in Egypt that they have that don't go against Islam, it's fine. If there's some customs in Pakistan that don't go against Islam, it's fine. Came with a hadith that has Umar read Sana out loud. Yes, of course, it's a hadith, and they say that this was because Umar radiallahu anhu was teaching the Sahaba. So he was teaching the Sahaba, teaching the people behind me. By the way, I'm reciting loud. So the Prophet ﷺ would sometimes do it deliberately as well. But this is what they call ta'liman. Ta'liman meaning like when you explain to your kids, like you're praying at home salat and you want your kids to know, by the way, I'm not just standing here silently, I'm actually saying something. So you might raise your voice slightly just to make them aware that you're reciting. I meant topi or scarf as headgear. Would it be disliked to uncover the head? So for women, they have to wear a scarf. Yeah, so for women, have to cover their heads. And for men, covering of the head is not necessary. Yeah, covering of the head wouldn't be necessary. It all depends upon the whole concept of wearing clothing in salat is related to whether you would wear those clothings or the piece of clothing outside. So if you're comfortable wearing that outside, if you're comfortable walking outside without hat on your head, then you can pray salat with that hat on your head. Yeah, because the Quran says, "Khudu zinatakum inda kulli masjid." So can I just put my charger? Oh, actually, I haven't gone on Instagram today. I don't think the people of Instagram would lose much sleep by me not going on. I don't know, do people on Instagram benefit from me coming on Instagram, or is it just another social media outlet? Yeah, so that's basically the ruling regarding the scarf issue. Is Al-Quran said to be hot? Are students undergoing hifz advised to eat cool foods? Oh, all right. I've never come across that. Yeah, so I don't know, anyone who is a Hafiz of Quran, when you read Quran, do you feel hot? Can you explain how to make drop shipping into a manner that would be permitted? So long as you can guarantee the customer the goods, if they were to perish, then it would be okay. Yeah, that's Malikis are very clear with that. You know, they say that basically in Islam you're not allowed to sell something that you purchased but you haven't taken possession of. So if you buy something, you have to take possession of it and then you can sell it. So if I buy, for example, a car from Japan over the phone, I can't go and sell it the next day to my friend before the car's reached, like I've taken possession of it. So the Malikis are okay with this. They say it's okay. So Hanafis, they say no, it's not allowed because the car might perish on the way and then the other contract is going to be affected by that. So I've mentioned this in my Kuduri videos when we discussed about things like, where did we discuss it? Yeah, I think it was in Murabah, after Murabah and Tawliya. Yeah, in the chapter of Murabah and Tawliya, over there. Subhanallah. Fiqh for dessert. Oh yes, my brother. You know what? That'd be an excellent idea. What's the latest? What's the best dessert shops these days? I think the trend of dessert shops is dying out now. What do you think? Is that true? False? Umar Gulab, alaikum salam. MashaAllah, what a name. A nice name, Umar Gulab. What would you recommend as steps for specialization in tafsir for someone learning in the West? So what I would say is that these are my steps if you want to master tafsir, if you want to become really good at tafsir. This is, first of all, you need to be able to understand the Arabic of the Quran. Yeah, so each and every single word, you need to know its meaning, where its root source is come from, the sarf meaning of the word, yeah, the sarf analyzation of it, the grammatical analyzing of it, the balagha of it. So these 5 things, once you've got these 5 things, then after that, I would say is to have, like, to map out the entire surah. Each surah, you should be able to map it all out, and from beginning to end, in your own words, you should be able to explain it to another person exactly what the surah is saying. You know, like my summaries of the surahs I make like that, right? That's the next stage. So the first stage is those 5 things, and then summarization of it. Then you need to be able to go to tafsirs, and tafsirs that I mentioned is the whole point of the tafsir is to be able to understand all the possible meanings, the correct meanings of each verse, and the ones that are incorrect. That's what you need to gain. So tafsirs like Tahrir al-Tanweer, Ruh al-Ma'ani, Kashaf, Razi, Anwar al-Tanzil, Baydawi. These are the kind of ones that you want to focus on if you want to grasp that. It's just the meanings, the language, the everything from an expert's point of view. Tarkib would come under that as well. Yeah, so I would say that's what you want to aim for. You want to aim that any verse you open in the Quran, you should be able to explain everything you know about it. If the goods are guaranteed, then we can sell on. I wouldn't see a problem with that. I wouldn't see it. Jamja. Oh yeah, I haven't been to Jamja in years, like literally years, maybe 6-7 years, you know. Alaikum assalam, SC1, ahla wa sahlan. Nice for the Q&As have returned. MashaAllah, alhamdulillah. Hamim, have there been attempts to reconcile between the madhabs and develop an all-encompassing? Yes, many people have attempted that, but not a universal, because it's too hard, because the approaches are different. That's the thing. It's like trying to reconcile between biology and between physics and chemistry. Yeah, you can't, because the approaches are different. They're fundamentally different in regards to how they established. But yeah, the Hanafis generally say that all the areas where the madhabs overlap, those are the positions that should be adhered to as much as possible. So let's say you take Salat from beginning to end. All the things in Salat that overlap between the Hanafis and Shafis and Malikis and Hanbalis, you should try to act upon that. Yeah, and where they differ, then you act upon what the Hanafis do. Shah Wali Allah attempted to reconcile between the Shafi madhab and the Hanafi madhab. You get a lot of this in the subcontinent. You get a lot of Hanafi approach, which has been heavily influenced by Shafi approach, or you can say Hadith approach. Wa alaikum assalam, my brother Muhammad. Ahla wa sahlan, ya habibana. Alhamdulillah, ana bi khair. Kayf anta? Thawban, ahla wa sahlan. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Is forex trading permissible? Forex in that famous forex company? No. But if you mean foreign exchange, as in you buy gold, you sell gold, and you buy currency, sell currency, that should be allowed. Jamja, fruits of the forest and cornflake tart. Yeah, yum, yum. My brother, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Be good. Ahla wa sahlan. Welcome. I'm very good. Thank you very much. Umar, jazakallah khair. You're welcome. SC1, for a person trying to overcome waswas, do they have deficiencies when learning? Is it normal for them to learn things and feel anxious in self-application? Yes, that's normal, guys. That's normal. So a person who has waswasa, in a nutshell, a person who has waswas is someone who overthinks too much. That's what waswasa would be. They overanalyze things, they overthink things, and they make life difficult for themselves. So whether it's to do with in the bathroom, whether it's to do with just doing mundane things around the house, whether it's to do with praying your salat, or whether it's to do with learning, there can be a lot of like inside you feel, if I don't do this, something bad's going to happen. If I don't do this, it's like that. So it can happen in learning as well. I used to remember one guy who used to say to me, he used to come to my tafsir lessons. A long time ago, I used to have these tafsir lessons on Sundays. So he used to come there, and then he used to say to me, you know what, I can't come anymore because I get very bad waswas. So when I learn something new from you, he says, that just plays on my mind all week, and I'm trying to analyze how this works in real life. I'm trying to apply it, and I overthink. So that's why having a teacher, for waswasa people, they need someone guiding them all the time. All the time, they need someone saying to them, don't do this, stop doing this, right? This is how it applies. Do you provide certificates for your online courses? I've never thought about it. If someone does one of my courses and has gone through the whole thing, and I do a test with them, I don't know if I should do a free test or paid test. If I do like a thorough test and they pass that test, then I may give them certification. But it has to be like, I have to be sure that they have taken the test and they haven't got some other Maulana to take the test for them. It's like that. I believe Imam Sha'rani's Mizan Kubra was a book aimed at combining the positions of all four madhabs following in many Muslims. I don't know. I haven't really read through that book. I've read sections of it, but not. I don't know. Maybe, he does mention about things like Hanafi madhab being one of the, predicting the Hanafi madhab is the one longest lasting madhabs. Forex prop firms, I don't know what they are. If you can explain what they are. How can a person know if they are experiencing anxiety from waswasa, or if it's just discomfort enough in accepting new learning or one's deficiencies? So you need to speak to someone about it. Speak to your teacher about it. Show them, and then they should be able to help you. Generally, is if they're becoming very flustered, it's becoming very difficult for them, they get really stressed out very easily, anxiety, that wouldn't be signs. What is the definition of a beard in our fiqh, and is there a difference in the other madhahib? The definition of the beard is basically hair that grows around the jaws. That would be the definition. Is there a difference in the other madhab? Yes, there is. Some of them say it's only what's on the chin, and some say it's more. I remember you talked about levels of studying like fiqh Quduri. There's levels of studying in which involves applying principles and rules. Can you tell us more about this? I can't remember saying it. If you can refresh my memory, exactly what I said. And exactly, because it's a very big question you asked. Now we live in mixed societies where people are from all madhabs without a government implementing the law. What should imam scholars do from a fiqh? Stick to their madhab. The Imam sticks to his madhab, and that's something which is fine. Nothing. It's like a doctor. Doctors from different backgrounds work in the community, and they have different approaches. So the doctors would simply just give treatment according to their own way. Yes, if it's something that's affecting the masses, so if it's individual issues, then they follow their fiqh. And if it's something that's affecting the masses, that's when other madhab positions can be taken. That's what Mufti Taqi Usmani also does as well when it comes to like fiqhul buyu, matters that are affecting the global, national issues. That's when other issues can madhab can be taken. There's talking about the jinn attract jinns. I don't know. I heard, this is one of my friends who's into this kind of jinn stuff. He said that watching horror movies, putting horror movies on attracts jinns. Yeah, that's what he said. He says when you put horror movies on, jinns are attracted towards that. We don't know exactly what attracts jinns and what doesn't attract jinn, but we do know jinns generally, bad jinns, they usually hang about in places that are filthy. Najasa. So that's, something which has been mentioned in Hadith. I don't know, what's your experiences? Tanweer, alaikum assalam. I'm very good, thank you very much, brother. How are you? Do you teach iftar? Yes. Have the scholars allowed any exception to the rule on leaving people for more than 3 days? What if they are harmful, abusive? Yeah, so if a person, so generally you should not, if you had a fight with someone, like your Muslim brother or sister, then you should not discommunicate more than 3 days, the hadith mentions. And the reason for this is because after 3 days, it becomes very difficult for them to come back. And the whole bigger concept is unity of the ummah. So if the ummah on an individual basis is going to be breaking off ties with Muslims, then on a higher level, how can they unite? So if, however, the harm is very bad, like they are very harmful, then cutting them off for longer periods of time is permissible. Yeah, scholars mention this. All right, let's check out some more curious guys. Is it permissible to sell an item that is at a wholesaler if the person has paid you to bring it to them? Yes. Secondly, can you charge the person the shipping costs and charge a bit more in addition to that to make profits? Yes. If it is the same scenario, but the person has not paid you yet, but promises to pay you if you bring it, yes. Yeah. So these are all wakala. This is what it's called, wakala. Wakala is permissible. It's agency. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Is someone excused if he had a misconception about Fajr and the light distinguishing night from day not being the same and eating suhoor past the Fajr time, and this was the first time doing suhoor alone and usually, would this fast be valid? Inshallah. Salam. Inshallah. Valid. Yeah. But Allah does not burden a person more than they can bear. So if it's a person who is in a situation for the first time in their life, they're fasting and they made little errors in this and this, and those errors are acceptable in other madhabs, then that can be seen as valid for only that situation. Once they learn the masala and they know what it is, then after that, then no. Then we don't give them benefit of doubt. This example you gave on the student at your tafsir class, I remember having felt like that, and it occasionally creeps in sometimes. I think my waswasa is much more anxiety based. Probably. I'm not an expert in waswasa and OCD. OCD, I always tell people, go speak to doctors about it, speak to professionals about it, where they can really help you. There might be like some other forms of, like, it might not just be waswas. There might be other things in a person's life that's compounding the problem. So if that's the case, you might be thinking it's just waswasa, but it could be other things in your life as well. And that might be something that's aggravating it. Yeah, possible. When a person joins Salat late, is a masbooq and the Imam is not in qira'ah, does he join and tie his hands before going into sajda? Assuming the Imam is in sajda, no. He just Allahu Akbar, right? And then he goes into sajda. Yeah, so Allahu Akbar. He doesn't have to fold his arms or anything. He just has to do a little bit of standing and then go into sajda. When I was young, I was told if someone sees your aura, it breaks your... I don't know where people get that from. I honestly have no idea. I don't think any other madhab has this issue of seeing someone naked breaks your wudu. Pakistanis have it a lot. Pakistanis, they have loads of, mashallah, like Pakistan fiqh. I think someone should write a book on fiqh Pakistan. Yeah, because I think one thing Pakistanis are is this: they like to answer things even if they don't know. I remember I was in Pakistan, and whenever you used to stop someone and say, bhai yaar ye dukan kidhar hai? So the guy would say, yeah, सीधे चले जाओ, इसी तरह चले जाओ, दाएं हाथ पे. It would tell you, and he's okay. Then you follow him, and he doesn't know where he's told you the wrong directions. And then eventually I realized, don't ask people directions in Pakistan, because they generally don't want to say they don't know. They would want to answer the question. So that's something I learned when I was there. That, you know what, just whenever they give you directions, just take it with a pinch of salt. Don't take their directions as being Google Maps. Mufti Sahab, give us a revamped solid curriculum, Aqidah, Hanafi, Fiqh, inshallah, my brother. Now, look, whenever you start something, guys, whenever you need to know objectives. That's the most important thing. The biggest problem we have in the madrasa systems, and I do apologize, I keep criticizing madrasas, but that's something which I see day in, day out, and unfortunately this is something which is affecting people as well. A lot of madrasas do not have higher long-term objectives of what they want from the books, whether it's each individual book or the science. The ultimate goal they have is Allah's pleasure. Allah ke raza. And now if you want Allah ke raza, okay, there's lots of ways to get Allah ke raza. But the thing is, you need to have a practical, okay, what do you want to achieve? Now, once you have a goal for studying fiqh, or a goal for tafsir, or a goal for aqidah, then you break down that goal into smaller, bite-sized, short goals, right? How are you going to achieve that? That's the first thing, goals, objectives. The second thing is pedagogy. Madrasas generally do not invest in pedagogy. They don't invest each book, how should it be taught? If madrasas got together and they had brought in expert teachers, right, who are specialized in teaching, whether, from both Western teaching institutes and from madrasa institute, brought them together and they discussed these kind of things, I think they could come out with very solid ways of how things should be taught. Curriculum and everything, lesson planning and all these things. I think it's very important in madrasas to have some sort of concept like that. So I think these are the two main things in madrasas which really need to fix. Once these two things are fixed, I think a lot of the problems in madrasas will be sorted out. A lot of problems, honestly, right? And you're going to have very good caliber of students, I think. However, so for example, like all sciences have to come back to Quran. Quran is the ultimate book that needs to be focused on. Students, anyone that graduates from a madrasa needs to be solid in the Quran. They need to be solid in every verse of the Quran. They need to know the Arabic of the Quran, the breakdown of each verse. They need to know its fiqh implications, its hadith implications, like sunnah implications, aqidah implications. They need to know all of that. Now, clearly, for that to happen, you need to supplement that with fiqh and aqidah and all of that. So I think that is a very important part. Aqidah needs to be, the fiqh, the Quran needs to be solid. And then when it comes to these other sciences, aqidah, for example, when you study aqidah, one is what the Quran says. That's our aqidah. What the Quran says is our aqidah. And if anyone says anything else to you, then that person is confusing people. Because whatever your grandma and your granddad knew as a Muslim, that is ultimate salvation. Majority of people on earth are simply going to follow a very basic understanding of aqidah. No details, nothing. Allah is one, Rasul is one, angels, Day of Judgment, Qadr, Quran, Kaaba, Salat. These are the basic kind of things. Then these sort of like in-depth analysis of aqidah concepts, philosophization, the philosophical aspects of aqidah. That is something which every person does not need to know. You do not need to be an Ash'ari. You do not need to be a Maturidi. And now it's just become a fashion now, just to have this at the back end of your name. Ash'ari, Maturidi, and then throw these questions at technical questions at people. If you throw these technical questions at my grandma will never know how to answer them. Does that mean she's not a good Muslim? No, of course not. She's probably a better Muslim than most of us. But that's the thing, I think people need to understand. That's the main aqidah to understand for salvation. Yes. Then if you want to go further into advanced aqidah, you need to study the evolution of Muslim society from the time of the Sahaba over at least the first 300 years, 400 years of Islam. And you need to understand all the different groups that came about and all the different, the political problems that came about, the social problems that came about. All these things need to be understood to understand why was there this sort of like whole factions coming about and Shias and Sunnis and Mu'tazila and all these. How did that? And then once you understand all of that, then study Aqidah Tahawiyya, then study Ilm al-Kalam. Then it's going to make all sense to you because you've contextualized it. I think that is the biggest thing. People are studying Aqidah without contextualizing things, and it's in thin air, concepts in thin air, and they're just attacking each other. Atharis attacking Kalamis and Kalamis attacking Atharis. I think that's what needs to be done. But the madrasa just wants to teach you 2 or 3 books in Aqidah and then just tell you, right, on your way, mate. And then most of the Aqidah that people study in madrasa is probably the teacher on a side note in lessons mentioning something and maybe criticizing one group or criticizing another group. If you want to criticize Shia, you need to study thoroughly what the Shia say. Right? It's unfair for a person. If you want to criticize even things like Qadianis, which we all consider kafir. If you want to criticize them, you need to know what they're talking about. You need to know the problems in this movement. Why is it problematic for? Not just Khatm al-Nubud is the main issue, but how this group evolved, the different factions of this group. How this is just like a sample. So I think that's the kind of thing that people need to understand, and that's something. Most of this kind of stuff, if you're lucky, after you qualify, you become like a researcher into that area. So you research into Aqidah more, you research in this, or you do further studies. And then, that's like, let's say 100 people qualify from madrasa, maybe 10 people, maybe 5 people will go into that area. And the majority of people will probably just be happy with whatever they studied and just do a little bit of reading and maybe do some teaching. So I think that's the thing. Do you have to do wudu after taking a shower or ghusl and do? No. So Hanafi say if you've done your ghusl, it's all included. You get like a 2-in-1. I don't remember fully what was said regarding Quduri, but it's a deeper study than the standard method of learning the text. Oh, so what I would say is if you study Quduri, every masala, you need to explain to the student why this masala is significant in the whole chapter. Yeah, and if you can actually do that if you're very good at understanding it. So I don't do that with my Quduri videos. My Quduri videos are very basic, right? All I do is just translation, breakdown of the text, and then explanation of the masalas. That's all. But if I wanted to go further into that, that would be where I have, I was saying to some of you guys that I wanted to start some live sessions where I invite some students and then we go through fiqh where I don't explain the masala, rather I just explain the significance of each masala in that chapter. That's the kind of thing that you want. You want to know, like, why does Imam Quduri say, for instance, why does he say in the chapter of Buyu, in the chapter of Buyu, why does he say things like khiyaru shart is for 3 days only, and anything beyond that is fasid? Why did he say that for? What's the reason? So that's what you want to present to the student. Okay, this is the reason why the Hanafis are saying it. Or why is it that the Hanafis say things like, if a person was to sell the fruit on a tree and the customer was to say that they want to leave it on the tree for a while, then this bay is fasid. What's the significance of that? So the student needs to understand the significance, like the background to it. I'm not talking about dalil, the background. I think my previous comment was not posted. It seems YouTube chat doesn't allow website links and remove the comment mentioning any web link. Oh, that's proper Zionists. Please, could you clarify? Can someone combine Qadha Ramadan fast with Shawwal, fasting 6 days? So generally, I would say they should try to do them separately. Do the 6 separately and the qada separately. If they feel as though they're going to find it difficult to be able to do their qadas and the 6, then I would say then it would be okay. But preferably they should do them separately. I feel like most madrasas stick to curriculum they learned years ago, and that's how it's always been done without much thought. Yeah, pretty much bang on. Studying certain books becomes almost ritualistic, exactly. And it just becomes like, yeah, ritualistic, and then they don't really know what's the aim of it. Like, for example, Mishkat, for example, there's like a Mishkat is not really, I think Mishkat is just taught in a way that the teacher will translate the text and then mention some fawaid of each masala, each hadith. Whereas, like Shawalillah rahimullah, what he does with Mishkat is he makes a whole, you can almost say like a landscape for Mishkat, yeah, which he calls Hujjatullah Baligha. So Hujjatullah Baligha is basically a commentary of Mishkat. That's what it is. So if you study Hujjatullah Baligha solid, Mishkat, it puts Mishkat into context. Now, that wasn't the aim of the author of Mishkat when he wrote it. It was just his aim was Baghawi's or Tabrizi's aim was simply just to put hadith together into chapters. Imam Razi said, I die on the iman of the old woman. Yeah, look at that. Madhab al-Ajuz. If people only criticize after proper research, half of Muslim Twitter will be out of a job. They'll be probably doing better things in life. So many titles, Imam Fulan Fulani and At-Tarkai Salani Karim. That's a good one, I like that one. That's a nice one. Do you do masa on head if is already wet, like wet to the point that you can feel the wetness? So in Hanafi madhab, yes, your hand has to touch the head. You're talking about bath on you. Nelson, alaikum assalam, ahla wa sahlan, my brother Nelson. Mus'ab, is the dua kunut wajib in witr? According to Abu Hanifa, yes. If you miss and do sajda sahu, yeah, you do sajda sahu. And Hanafis read the dua after standing up from ruku. Hanafis do it before standing up from ruku. Yeah, before ruku. I feel like some of the questions you are asked are traps. People have been cutting and cropping some of your answers in order to warn others about. Yeah, chalo. That's dunya, guys. Alhamdulillah. I used to remember this about my teacher. One of my teachers, there were like a lot of people that were against him. And I used to think to myself, like, this guy's teacher is so solid in knowledge, mashallah. Like, he's very, very proficient in nearly every science. He's really good. And then there are people who probably don't know half of Arabic language. They don't know how to, string half of a sentence in Arabic, and they are criticizing the teacher. And then I realize that this is something which happens. People out there, it's like this sunnat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's going to be people who criticize, and the people who are going to say things, and which this is part of the test. Shawalillah rahimahullah got called. I think you got called a kafir at one point. You're called a Shia at one point. You're called all sorts of things. Imam Hanifa was called a Murji'ah. So people do that. So I know there's people out there who go through my videos and mashallah benefit mankind through. Without me, it's hard work, editing videos, going through them, and so mashallah, you gotta give it to them. If they do the fast separately, which should they do first? The qada ones or any one they want? Up to them. How do you explain the hadith in Sunan Abi Dawood when beating itself is considered as a last resort, like you explained last time? Found this and I didn't know. I don't know. If you can see Abu Dawood 2146, I have no idea what hadith that is. And if I go and search for it, there's going to be different versions of Abu Dawood that have a different sequencing of the hadith. So if you can copy and paste the hadith and put it in the comments, and make it easier. People follow madhabs because and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said to follow scholars, but why do these specific for madhabs, and why do people? So what I would say is watch my video on madhabs, the history of madhabs. Yeah, so I've got a whole series I've done on madhabs, and I've explained this in this 3-part series. You can check it out. So you have to take a bit of time to watch him, but inshallah. History. Sorry, how madhab. Yeah, check that out. And people also tend to dogmatically follow and idealize Saudi and its government and loyalty and sheikhs. Yeah, our corrupt. Yeah, it's people. This is just human nature. Human nature will always be like, like if you want to know human nature well, always look at what children do. Children are basically humans without all the masks. Yeah, they're humans without all the disguises. They're just pure humans. Children have a tantrum. That's what we are. We're people that have to control our tantrums. Children have big egos in the sense that they kind of, they it's all about themselves, and they have to control that. As humans, we try to control that. Children generally won't really care about others. Yeah, selfishness. They get jealous very quick. They can be very loving, extremely loving. And so you look at a child and you'll see the reflection of a human being. So a lot of these children idolize individuals. They idolize their parents to such a degree that their parents are better than anything in the world. My dad's better than your dad, like that kind of. So I think that's the thing that is. Okay. Salam, ahlan wa sahlan, Junaid. I teach Medina Arabic Book 1 and students are just not memorizing vocab no matter what I say. Any tips on how to make the class more engaging? So what I would suggest is try, if they're not memorizing it outside a lesson, try to get them. So memorizing, people don't naturally memorize things. Okay, so try not to focus too much on memorization. What you need to get them to engage. If anyone is teaching any language, 90% of the lesson should be spent in the student speaking and the teacher listening. Right? This is a skill that I've over many years I've learned from different places. That if you want to teach a language solid, 90% of it, if you got a 1 hour lesson, then literally, 90% of that lesson, you should be spending 50 minutes of that lesson, or the students speaking to each other and the teacher. Now, what I tend to find is a lot of when newcomers come to teaching language, what they do is they spend too much in trying to explain the language. People don't like explaining the language. They just want to know what to say. That's it. And then that's how they pick it up. It's like kids. You don't explain to kids a language. You just say things to kids, and kids repeat things to you, and that's how it works. It's just about repetition, saying things and repeating things, right? And that's what you want. You want to get engagement with the students. You want to get them writing. You want to get them speaking, listening skills. That's language is all about that. And if you're spending most of the lesson just you speaking, explaining, okay, this is a mubtada, this is a mudaf, no, don't do that. That's like the trap that is. Yeah, that's that's the dangerous part of teaching language. You get thinking, I've been explaining this language to them so much detail, but they're still not learning it after lesson 20, right? Because what you're focusing on is comprehension, and a language is more about that. Yeah, in the exercises, when you have the exercises, then you can explain things through exercises to them. But in the main sort of like bulk of the lesson, spoken. What video editing software do you use? I use various things. So Premiere Pro, I use something called Camtasia. I use something called iMovie. I used to use something called Screencast-O-Matic. Yeah, so these are several things that I use. Subhanallah, when they torture Abu Hanifa, the only doubt is whether he died from the wounds of the beatings he received in jail or he died in jail. And Subhanallah. Imam Ahmad, when he was tortured, would sometimes shout, Wa Abu Hanifa, remembering the torture the Imam went through. Subhanallah. Alaikum assalam, Ibi, ahlan wa sahlan, alhamdulillah. What is that? You guys like the title, yeah? This is basically on YouTube. What you can do with some of these third-party softwares is you can generate titles. So the thing you have to remember is, if you make videos social media, when people, like, you think about yourself, when you look at a video, what makes you click on that video, on the box, and want to watch it? It's the image, yeah, and it's the thumbnail, and it's the title. That's what catches you. This is called a hook. So I've realized that a lot of my videos, I don't get that many views compared to other channels. And I was looking at other channels thinking, whoa, these guys like really kind of vamp up their thumbnails, or they put a title in there that's really catchy. And unfortunately, that's what you got to do. You got to, otherwise, you're going to get the normal guys who are going to watch your videos because they're kind of interested in listening to what you're going to say. But the new people are not really going to be interested because they don't know who you are. And the only thing that's going to attract them is maybe if they've accidentally come onto your channel, onto your videos, or the title. Are people really watching 2-hour Q&As and snipping parts and taking them out of context? I have seen this happen. Yeah. Apparently, guys, someone has made a Telegram channel about me and all my deviant views. So, you got to give it to the guy who's gone through the effort to make a channel about me and then to go through my videos and then clip it. So, mashallah. Don't know how long it's going to last for, how many years they're going to do it for. It obviously can't be more than the number of years that I make these videos, because it has to be, obviously, with my video, so it's going to be, but it's still something good. Iyas bin Abdullah bin reported as do not be Allah's handmaidens, but when Umar and Rasulullah said women have become emboldened towards their husbands. Yeah, so I have to see the Arabic of this hadith. I think it's La tadribu ima Allahi. So you see, when people read hadith, one thing you have to understand is take yourself out of the West. Take yourself all of the out of the ideals of the West. Put yourself into, like a dystopian society, a Mad Max society where there's no governance, there's no governing army, there's no government at all. You're living in a rough society, like a gang society. Imagine you were living in England, was ruled by gangs, right? And there was no, you only had whatever rights was within your gang, whatever your gang saw. Think of it like that. So when the Prophet came, there were lots of cultural practices that he couldn't eradicate straight away. It was very difficult. Yeah, he was trying to eradicate it over the years, but it was very difficult. Even when he passed away, there were certain practices as well that some people still had. So you have to remember these kind of things when it came to the way that husbands treated their wives. It wasn't like the Prophet came and told everyone, right, press the button, and then everyone just became, obedient. No, it wasn't like that. It was the Prophet had to keep on telling people, how dare you do this? How dare you do this? Don't stop the women from coming to the masjid. Yeah, don't do this. Don't. So it was that kind of thing. So when people read hadith, people think, you know what? These hadith are like the final sayings of the Prophet ﷺ to the most perfect people on earth. All the Sahaba were perfect in how they practiced Islam. And then when you read the hadith, you think, how is this possible? So what you're misunderstanding, you're understanding the hadith and you're superimposing onto yourself this, idyllic society. Yeah, this utopian society that the Sahaba were living in. And it wasn't like that, unfortunately. Does that make sense? Yeah, so these kind of hadith, you have to explain to them. That's why, again, clip time. So the guys who are going to cut my clip out, yeah, this is the time where you want to clip it out and start from here. The thing you have to remember is general public should not be reading hadith. And it sounds very strange because we're kind of like told so many times in talks that follow the Quran, follow the Sunnah, follow the Quran, follow the Sunnah. It's as though the Prophet was speaking to every man and woman, whatever age, till the Day of Judgment, that make sure you read the Quran and read my Sunnah, which obviously he wasn't saying that. So this is the kind of problem that we have. We live in a society which has made it upon themselves that they want to read texts that were in a language that was spoken 1,400 years ago in a society that we now no longer have, and in circumstances that were very different to what we're used to. And we're trying to use this, this perfect ethical or moral sort of society that we developed in our heads and superimpose it onto them, and then trying to make sense of the hadith from that. This is where the problem, and this is just one hadith, but there's ayats and there's many other hadith that people will try to use and say, well, look, Islam doesn't make sense. How come the Prophet said? How could the Prophet say to someone that you can get married a second time? How can the Prophet have said that you and your wealth belong to your father, saying to the children that you and your wealth belong to your father? Whatever he wants to do with it, he can do. Right? So this is where fiqh is very important. Fiqh contextualizes everything, puts everything into perspective. Right? And this is why you need to study properly. And this is my honest nasiha to you guys. Right? You guys are slowly beginning to realize this now, that it's not just a matter of me just accessing the internet, accessing Bukhari and Muslim and this and that, and just every day reading a few hadith here and there, building my general knowledge of Islam. In fact, you could be building your toxic general knowledge of Islam. It can happen. Yeah, and it causes a lot of waswas in people. It causes a lot of confusion in people. It causes so much problem. People even leave the fold of Islam because they read a translation of a hadith of Bukhari. The first and the fourth Imam were very political, and the second and third stayed away from politics. Interesting. It's a good observation there. Brother Muhammad, what's the reference for the thumbnail? Was very nice. Yeah, I've been practicing those thumbnails actually. I did recently see there's some sort of operation against you for whatever reason. Yeah, unfortunately there's people. But you know what? Alhamdulillah. See, these kind of things, I see them as batil. They might see them as haqq. I see them as batil. So batil usually it's like waves. It disappears, then after a while it's gonna come back again, and it's gonna disappear, it's gonna come back again. Yeah, it's like it's basically like they call it mass amnesia in politics. That when a politician comes and everyone hates him and they starting momentum against him, then all of a sudden he, steps down, or they forget exactly what they were arguing about, right? So people have forgotten now what George Bush done, what Bill Clinton done. Yeah, they forget these things. I'm not saying obviously I'm George Bush. Jazakallah, you're welcome. The thing is, a guy in class, in the class of my cousin, trying to debate my cousin Islam and sent him pseudo intellectual. Yeah, that's the thing. What I would suggest is get your cousin, if they get any confusions, always contact Sapiens Institute. Speak to them, because they will have a method of how to approach these debates. Please, could you explain this hadith? Aisha رضي الله عنها قالت يا رسول الله على النساء جهاد قال صلى الله عليه وسلم نعم عليهن جهاد لا قتال في الحج والعمرة. Yes, again, this is another hadith as to the context. So in other words, it's like saying that women naturally are not designed, not built to go for warfare. And so socially, people don't have their women fighting battles. Historically, we know that. So in other words, what would be considered the most difficult thing for women to do in them days? It would be Hajj and Umrah, because the woman has to travel by foot or by camel and for weeks on end maybe, or by sea, and then has to stay in this place, and it's very difficult, especially women of those days who wouldn't really venture out that much. They would stay locally, maybe not even kind of go too far from their homes. So it was considered to be very difficult in them days. Does that make sense? Alaikum assalam. Okay, who's wondering whether there's specific explanation? Alaikum assalam. Is male engagement ring permissible? It's fine. I mean, there's nothing really kind of wrong with it. But if it's done in a way that's imitating other religions, then no. Right? I don't exactly know the history of engagement rings. Does this mean that Hajj is more difficult for women? So in them days, of course, it was. It was very difficult. I am seeing there is a phenomenon of half-baked social media ilm that has just people get really into polemics. You need to push away and learn. Exactly, 100%. That's a very good point, guys. Definitely. I think it's very important for people. This is why I keep saying to you guys, we need scholars, men and women, to study Islam properly. Like really dedicate themselves to Islam. Because I'm not going to be here forever. I'm going to die. Yeah, I'm not going to last. I don't have that many years left. But there needs to be other people that take over what I do, or take over what other scholars do, male and female, and they need to be the next. Who are going to be in 30, 40 years' time? Who's going to be the next, men and women who are going to be presenting Islam to the community, whether it's on social media, whether it's, and who's gonna do that from now? Who's gonna put the effort in? Right? If we have a society of people who are simply satisfied with what the internet says, what people on the internet are saying, it's kind of sad in a way that in 30 years' time, we're going to have people who are very good at simply just Googling things and just debating, and cutting and snippet, doing all these business. Right. Obviously, speaking about rings, is it fine to wear one for cosmetic reasons as a male? I have seen that is, according to Hanafis, the classical Hanafi position for men should not wear rings. Later Hanafis, some Hanafis incline towards it's okay if they do it because out of love for the Sunnah. Women is fine. If I want to wear aqiq, yeah, inshallah, you can wear it. Mufti AI, Mufti AI, student AI, Shaykh al-Hadith AI, debate AI, Khalifa AI. Aisha, alaikum assalam. Who are the best imams or people to watch in your opinion? Thank you. I don't. What I would say is this: look, watch the person who is going to make you get more closer to Allah. Yeah. Do not ask me which scholar, because I like listening to scholars who you probably will find difficult to understand. But I would say listen to those scholars. If you listen to a scholar and you're not sure about what he says is okay, ask someone that you trust. Ask them. Yeah. Why would say, look, this is something that people do. They'll go to someone, they'll go to a famous celebrity scholar and say, Sheikh, which scholar shall I listen to? Right now, that's a bit strange. Like that Sheikh is a very well-known Sheikh, gives lots of talks, and you're asking them who should I listen to, right? So you need to have trust in a particular individual, and then that particular individual, you need to obviously know, what you want to ask them. So if you want to ask them what scholars, that person might not know what scholar is good for you. So I might say to you, for example, Sheikh so-and-so, Mufti so-and-so, Maulana so-and-so. But again, you might not find yourself connecting with that person. Yeah. So I would say, whoever kind of brings you closer to Allah, who have you found that you listen to and makes you regular with your 5 times salat, makes you fear Allah more, makes you lower your gaze, makes you, who's the one? It might be a book you read, it might be a translation of the Quran you read. Saudi Arabia recently introduced robots which issue fatwas. Allahu Akbar. I'd like to know that if my questions seem to be about unimportant matters or niche topics, I'm not trying to cause fitna. No, don't worry, my brother Ihsan. I know you're not. Alhamdulillah. These types of things make me curious, and I'm a type of guy who wants to know. Definitely, everyone's going to get curiosity, and I encourage people to find answers to their curiosities. Don't silence your curiosity, because some people are more curious than others. But I would say is, just like you tame your desires from haram food and you tame your desires from haram interactions, also everyone needs to know that there needs to be limits on your desires for curiosity as well. Certain things that people might put them into a lot of problems. But yeah, definitely I would say things like these kind of questions that you asked, definitely ask. It's very difficult to explain to someone. Like some people come to me and say, Sheikh, what's the dalil for this? What's the dalil for this? And they want to use it to attack someone. But then if they were to use that dalil to attack that person, tomorrow they're going to have a counter attack. And then they'll come back and ask, what's the dalil for this? And it's like they are simply a middleman between the sheikh and between the opponent. So what the person needs to do is, a lot of these questions requires understanding background. You need to understand the person's mentality, right? Because now, if, for example, Sapiens Institute gives you a really good, solid answer, and your cousin goes back to that opponent, the opponent's not going to accept it, because if they've already made up their mind that they want to, they're not going to be willing to say, okay, let's sit down, let's unfold all of this, let's try to understand exactly what's happening at the time of Prophet. They're not going to, like, look at Robert Spencer. Robert Spencer, how many times has Hamza Zotis and others have criticized him and responded to him online about things that he said, right? But he's not willing to sit down and say, right, you got a point. So sometimes you have to realize you don't debate everyone. If the guy does not want to understand, they want to say, fine, okay, you guys don't want to accept it, fine. What finger is best to wear? I don't know. Jazakallah khair. So the Shafis say that the small finger, the end. You're welcome. Be good. Zaid alaikum assalam. Sangaye Zamarur. Sangaye tu sangaye. Umer sangade. Tul sangadi. Tul khairiyat di tabiyatun dikhadi. Dalta biara ghaline. When should one delve into usul fiqh after Quduri? Yeah, after Quduri, definitely. Yeah, after Quduri, definitely. Because once you study Quduri properly, thoroughly, you're familiar with a lot of masail. And usul fiqh is really kind of just giving structure to the way that the fuqaha would have reached those masail. See Without Shore by Noor Hankil. I visit it every now and again. Yeah, you keep mentioning that book, isn't it? I want to get that book, inshallah. Yeah, I think I'm inshallah want to purchase that. What book was I gonna? Oh, Mufti Taqi Usmani's Quranic Sciences. Yeah, Ulum al-Quran has come out. It's about £21, I think. So I would definitely encourage anyone. It's a very good book. I read it when I was in madrasa, I remember. It's a very good book. It really kind of helped me understand a lot of concepts in tafsir and things like that. Definitely encourage you guys to check it out. It's called Quranic Sciences by Mufti Taqi Usmani. I think Turath Publications. Makes sense. How would you explain the four wives things? I kind of get it, but I kind of don't. I don't understand. How would you explain the four wives things? I'm not sure I've understood what you're saying. Are you saying like, how can a man have four wives? How can one become a scholar? Is alim class the only option? Can one study online? Yes, one can study online as long as they have a connection with a solid teacher. Yeah, so alim course, you can do it privately, one-to-one. Alim, you can do it with the class. Obviously, the class ones usually are the ones that are reputable institutes where you can get some qualification there, like an accredited. But yeah, you can individually. Do you think in our expensive society today, households are able to stay afloat on husband and father being the sole breadwinner and financial provider? I think for a lot of people, no. Because it depends what lifestyle you want, isn't it? A lot of people, they want a particular lifestyle, like they want several holidays a year, they want a particular type of house, they want a particular type of car. When you kind of factor all these things in, the husband and wife will automatically start to both work. I've seen a lot of people who are in that situation. Now, generally, if a husband has a very good job, generally the husband can provide for the whole family. Yeah. But it can differ from person to person. I've seen a lot of people who both husband and wife work to pay off the bills, especially in recent times, especially after COVID. Yeah, that's possible. But the thing you have to remember is the idea of do you really want a society where the children don't really have the same interaction with their parents, like, because now what's happening basically is kids are in school all day, then their intuition, they hardly get time with their parents. Parents are like working full time, and then both parents are in full time. They have to put their kids into baby care, babysitting, whatever, and then they have the only time that they have probably on the weekends, and even on the weekends it's like very short number of hours, and then you have like holidays will come, so it's really only holidays where they spend quality time together, and then that happens for 16 years, let's say, and then that's it, children university, and then leave the house. So the way the society is developing now is different from how many of us were brought up when we were kids. Many of us were brought up and we were with our mums a lot, spent a lot of time with our mums, and dads used to kind of work quite hard. Maybe in the evenings we'll see our dad every single day. And then before them, they had a different as well. Yeah, so it's a bit difficult to say how societies, but societies will always have these tests, and it's very important for parents to know how much they need to give their parents. Yeah, so I think it's a kind of very challenging very hard. And I don't know what's going to happen in 50 years' time, what it's going to be like. Yeah, the way things are going. Because there's a lot of single mothers now. There's a lot of, broken families. Kids are being brought up in a lot of broken families now. Being brought up with just one mother. For whatever reason, father's left the house or, whatever it is. Or they've split up. And then in 50 years' time after that, what is it going to be like? So it is quite kind of like a scary kind of future. I understand exactly what you're trying to say. Hikmah in dawah is so important, subhanAllah. That's why I myself try to take a step back when explaining things instead to give short answers. Yeah. It seems more Muslim households have both partners working. Inshallah, will return of the Mac. So that the opposite person gains a deeper knowledge and thinks for themselves. Definitely 100%. Da'wah is meant. See, da'wah now has become a trend for the youth, for the youngsters. Yeah, youngsters are giving da'wah now. So it's like youngsters are thinking they have the power to give da'wah without having thorough understanding of Quran. They probably haven't been through the whole Quran with a teacher, and they probably don't even know Arabic, but they feel as though they can give da'wah to people. And it might be a very, like empowering experience, but they don't kind of like look at the negatives of it as well. On the next course. In English, yeah? The Muftaki book you're talking about. Why is there an hour gap or asr between Hanafi madhab? Generally asking. So I've done a video on this in my Quduri. So this is to do with difference of opinion regarding the evidences of when the Prophet ﷺ prayed the Asr Salat. Yeah, so this is the whole issue. Did the Prophet ﷺ pray the Asr Salat when it was a one shadow, when the sun was at a level where a person would have the size of one shadow or two shadows? That's what it goes down to. It's about, so we don't know exactly what time the Prophet used to pray his Asr every day. We don't know. We do know that it was after Zuhr and it was before Maghrib. But what time did Zuhr end and what time did Asr start? That's where, because of the few narrations that have reached us, we're trying to figure out exactly what time that was. So Abu Hanifa says you pray it later just to be on the safe side. The Asr should be prayed later. Just you're definitely sure that it's Asr. And the others, Abu Hanifa's two students, say you can pray earlier because of certain evidences. Why can men have 4 wives? Okay, so because first of all, the Quran says that men can have up to 4 wives. Practically, if you kind of look at it from a social understanding, practically there has always generally been more women than men in society because the men die, battles and all, because men are generally putting themselves into dangerous places more often than women are. So that's why in battles more men die, in work more men die, or getting into whatever social issue it is. So that's why it's, and especially now with this boom of families having more females than sons, this is a phenomena that we have at the moment. So from a practical point of view, it won't be possible that one man will get married to one woman. And in the past, lots of women didn't really kind of have an issue with this because they knew it was a practical thing. For many of them, it was a man gets married to a woman who has children from another marriage, just to take care of her. So it's a very practical. We look at it in today's society as being a very bad thing because we're kind of brought up in the idea of a, atomic family. Yeah, there's a man, there's a woman, there's 2 kids, and that's how they should be until they die. But we know divorce rates, with the way the divorce rates are going on, right? It's crazy now. So for a lot of women to actually find, once a woman reaches late 30, 35 onwards, it's very difficult for her to find a spouse even. Yeah, and that's, the data shows that. They've actually worked out at exactly what age, what are the chances of a woman getting the man that she wants. So all these kind of factors from a practical point of view. It's a genuine question. Imam Suyuti said, if you read as many books as grains of sand and lived as long as no, still you wouldn't become a Sufi from the sublime truths of Wah, kya baat. Sheikh, have you seen the opinion that after the shahud, if you get hadath, the salah is complete? I have seen it referenced in Wiqaya. In Quduri, yes, in Quduri. Yeah, in Quduri, actually, it says famous 12 masalas. So check in my Quduri. The path is not through theory alone. 100%. I think the reality is that women don't want to work in later with children, but husbands cannot meet expenses. The other issue is men are wishing to marry but wishing to stay in parents. Yeah, there could be lots of reasons. Those are two common reasons. There's many other reasons besides that as well. That's what I'm saying. It's not easy to just put the problem onto one thing. It's like systems thinking. System thinking is where a problem is not based upon one problem. It's based upon like a multifaceted problem. Is it makruh to pray Jummah at 5:15? I don't know where you live. Is that time should be okay? Should be Asr, still Asr time, Zohar time, yeah? I'd say your Quduri series are a bit more detailed than simply text and masala. You mentioned some interesting points. Jazakumullah khair. Hello, I listen to your Arabic learning tutorials. I have learned so much. You're welcome, my brother. You're welcome. Anyway, guys, I'm going to finish it there. I will show you the book before I go. Okay, Ustad, how I dispose of ta'weez that I don't trust that were given to me. What you do is basically burn it. So open it up, yeah, open it up and just burn it. It's fine. Would you recommend Irshad Center Hanafis? Yes, I would definitely recommend them. MashaAllah, very good. Yeah, Sheikh Tabrez is a very good friend of mine. Mention him. If you do join any courses, mention that I referred you there. You might get a discount, who knows. Okay, let me show you. Okay, so this is the textual integrity of Sahih al-Bukhari by Mufti Muntasir al-Zaman. Right, so he's not related to me, but mashallah, I'm happy that me and him share the same second name. So this is the textual integrity of Sahih al-Bukhari. So as you guys know, there was a lot of hoo-ha about this whole Bukhari, is it really authentic or not, the hadith and this and blah, blah, blah. So mashallah, this guy has done an excellent job. Yeah, Mufti Muntasir Zaman, really good job. I haven't read through the whole book, I just read a few parts. But basically, just to read out the contents page, he goes into, so it has, so there's two parts to it. The first part is regarding the transmission of Sahih Bukhari, the book Sahih Bukhari. How has it reached us? So he goes over the overview of Sahih Bukhari, the early reception of this book in the early years, a slow start, causes for the bottleneck, geographic and chronological spread, textual variants of Bukhari, different variations of Bukharis. Part 2, the recensions and analysis. Recension of Ibrahim Nasafi, transmission of that version, the nuskha basically, surveys of sources, comparative analysis, caveats, synopsis, main text, chapter headings, then the recension of Hamad ibn Shakir. Yeah, so he goes through all of this, and then he has like a conclusion at the end, which is can we reconstruct the recensions of Nasafi and Hamad based on secondary sources? What is a comparison of the primary recensions reveal about the textual integrity of Sahih? Is al-Farabri's reliability as a transmitter of the Sahih corroborated by Nasafi? Yeah, so it has really good reviews on this. Really good scholars have done reviews on this, and he's done a lot of. You can tell he's put a lot of effort into this. Right, so I would definitely, if you're interested in, this whole history of Bukhari, then I would definitely encourage you guys to read this. Yeah, very happy I got this. Alhamdulillah. Where in Quduri? This is in, I think it's in the chapter of Sifatul Salat, right at the end of Sifatul Salat, I think. What's the ruling on women traveling with her child out of necessity where she dropped by her mahram? Yes, I wouldn't see a problem. Advice for the week. My advice for the week is treat life as being something you always have to make effort to maintain. Or I'll give you another. Treat life like your garden shed. Yeah, so treat like a garden shed means garden shed, it's always going to be deteriorating, right? So this deterioration of your life is happening, and you're the one that has to maintain it. You have to keep taking care of it, giving a second paint of coat, protection, right? All of that kind of stuff. And that's what life is. Life is naturally going to deteriorate around you, and you have to make the effort. And life means relationships between you and your spouse, or you and your children, you and your parents, you and your friends, you and your community. You're the one that has to make the effort to maintain it. You can't just leave it like that. Otherwise, it's going to end up like a dilapidated shed. It's just going to collapse on itself and everything's gone to waste. That's my advice for the week. Why are men allowed sexual international with concubines even though they are not married? So the reason for this, again, is you have to understand. What I would suggest, Aisha, is read a book called Slavery in Islam by Jonathan Brown. Right, purchase the book, read it, and definitely it'll clarify a lot of misconceptions regarding slavery. Again, this whole idea of concubines, this is not something that men are kind of like, concubines, well, I can't wait to go home, got my concubines. The slave woman had the same status, you can say, same status as a wife in many cases. She had to be treated well, she had to have clothes. So it wasn't like a slave, it wasn't like you go to the cellar, open the cellar door, where are you, slave? Come here. Yeah, right, fulfill my desires. No, it wasn't like that. It was like she was honored, she was respected. In some societies, the slave woman even had positions as well, whether it's men or women. So this is, remember I was saying early on, I don't know if you probably might have missed it, but we take the Western concept of everything and then we superimpose it, and then if it doesn't fit what the West say, we kind of think we have to sort of apologize for it. No, that's not the. So this is why this happens. I'm not trying to encourage any audacious or hurtful practice, but from a fiqh point of view alone, is it true that a man can marry a second wife without the first? Of course. And that a woman can prohibit her husband marrying a second wife if she lets it be written down in the nikah contract. It all depends exactly how it's written down. Yeah, it's all depend upon the wording, the prenuptials. Can you tell a little bit about the author? Yeah, the author is Mufti Muntasir al-Zaman. I've met him once. I don't know him that personally. He's from America. He studied in South Africa. He then went and studied in Markfield in the UK. Did his master's there. Then after that, I don't know exactly what he studied after that. But then he went back to the US. He's been teaching there at, I think it's Qalam Institute or Qasim. I'm not too sure where. But yeah. He's written a lot. You can actually find, if you go on YouTube, if you go on Twitter and you look for Hadith Notes. So Hadith Notes on Twitter, and he's got a website, Hadith Notes. You can find lots of information that he puts up regularly. Right, it's a very good writer, mashallah. Mufti, have you seen Kitab al-Tabaqat al-Kabir? I bought the Kufa volume. Excited to look at it. Do you know? Tabaqat, are you talking about Tabaqat ibn Sa'd? Tabaqat ibn Sa'd, is that what you're talking about? I haven't really read all of it. I've read sections of it. So I've just read certain entries on it. So it's a very well-known, famous book that written in the past by Ibn Sa'd. You're welcome. You're welcome. Anyway, guys, I am going to finish it there. Jazakumullah khair. I will see you guys next time, inshallah. May Allah bless all of you guys and put barakah in your time and your efforts. If you don't mind, guys, please hit the like button. It helps my channel grow. Spread some of my videos on your social networks and encourage other people to subscribe as well. It helps. Basically, what happens is it helps my videos spread to a larger audience, so more people benefit from the videos I make. All right, guys, take care, inshallah, and I will see you guys. And next time, would you say, my opinion, a lot of Muslim men have become weak due to there being no authorized military expeditions like our great grandparents? Maybe, possibly. I think there's many other reasons as well. I think there's a lot of reasons to kind of that go towards that. Anyway, guys, take care, inshallah. T-Goat, I have my Alim course exams in a week. Any tips on how to study fast? You want shortcuts, basically. Just you have to go through everything hard way, my brother. Hard, you have to go through everything in the difficult way of try to summarize every chapter in your own words. Take care. I'll see you guys next week, inshallah. May Allah bless all of you people. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.